Bum 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum. It's Monday Night Football, the Texans and the Cowboys, and my goodness, when the schedule came out, this one was circled. You thought it was going to be the tops of the NFC East and the tops of the AFC South squaring off, and oh, by the way, they inhabit the same state. Going to be a big one for the fans no matter what, but this one's not as big for the Cowboys. They didn't hold up their end of the bargain. Still a huge one for the Texans, though. How can the Texans get back on track offensively, get a victory here, and start a run ahead of their bye week? And how do the Cowboys pull off a massive Monday night upset? And who's going to win? I'll tell you all. Powered by my friends at BetUS. YouTube 150 is the code to get that 150% bonus up to $2,000 on your first deposit. How do the Texans do this? How do they take care of business? And I'll say this. I believe the Texans are going to win. Spoiler alert for the end when I give you the score. But the Texans need an impressive offensive showing. Squeaking by the Dallas Cowboys on Monday Night Football, I don't know if that's going to be good enough for a lot of people. Now, obviously, Nico Collins is going to be back for this Texans team. That's going to be one of the huge pieces of this matchup. Nico Collins got to be heavily involved, and he's going to make everything else easier for this team. He is one of the most trusted wide receivers for C.J. Stroud. In fact, the most trusted wide receiver for C.J. Stroud. So you got to imagine he's going to be heavily involved. He's also the best wide receiver when Stroud gets the scramble drill going. Again, a huge benefit for Nico Collins, and he can win his routes quickly, which lets Stroud get rid of the ball quickly, which helps mitigate some of the issues that the offensive line has had. So obviously, Nico's back. Get Nico the ball. Wish upon a star wide receiver, if you will. The offensive line, which last week pass blocked a little bit better than the Jets game, they're going to run that same configuration out there, it seems, and they've got to run block much better. This is the first game since the Chicago game that Nico Collins and Joe Mixon have been on the field at the exact same time. Nico has a good game. It's going to help Joe Mixon's game and vice versa. They're going to be able to play off of each other, two big-time players that are having huge seasons at their positions, despite the fact that they missed some time because of injury. So that offensive line, they have got to open up some run blocking lanes for Joe Mixon in this one. Got to be able to get Mixon going on the ground, because that is also going to help mitigate issues with the offensive line, and it's going to help get Nico Collins going as well. Defensively, eject on the CD. Do not let CD Lamb beat you if you are the Texans. He popped up as questionable on the injury report with a back injury. Still think he's going to play, but don't let CD Lamb take over a game and beat you. He is but just one man on that Cowboys offense and is the only true big-time danger, though Ferguson, their tight end, is pretty good, and that's pretty simple from a defensive perspective. Cooper Rush is not super dangerous. I don't care if they go to Trey Lance in the game. He's not dangerous either. So for the Texans, it's pretty simple with that defensive game plan. So we talked about how the Texans got to get going offensively. I believe it's going to happen. You got BetUS here. You hit that prop builder. Man, I love the prop builder. You can have so much fun with this. When you use that code YouTube150, you are going to get a 150% bonus up to $2,000 on your first deposit. And you pick that Texans and that Cowboys game. I'm going straight to touchdowns. I believe Mixon's getting into the end zone. I believe Nico Collins is getting into the end zone. And look, the Texans got to get going offensively. Over 24.5 when it comes to their points. Gives us plus 300 odds. So we just need a couple of touchdowns from the Stars and the Texans to score some points. How about $50 to win 200? It's that simple, my friends at BetUS, and you can do the same and use that code YouTube150. Don't forget that. I love a little player prop parlay when it comes to my friends at BetUS. Now, we talked about the Texans, how they get this done. How do the Cowboys pull off a massive upset and really derail where the Texans are headed as a team? Well, it starts with one man on the Cowboys defensive side, and that is Micah Parsons. Parsons is good enough that if he has a transcendent game, he can make things a living nightmare for CJ Stroud. He can beat this offensive line. He can get constant pressure, and he can really affect Stroud. There's a couple of defensive players here and there for the Cowboys. Overshown, their linebacker is a nice player, but it's got to be centered around Parsons disrupting that Texans passing attack because he puts so much pressure on CJ Stroud. And then if the Texans offensive line still hasn't figured out how to run block, that's going to be huge. The Cowboys need to take advantage of that, and they've been bad at stopping opposing running backs. If they could stop the Texans from running the football, obviously that's going to go a long way. That will be a Herculean effort for them to do that. But if they can get that done, then you flip it over to the Cowboys side on offense. And really, Cooper Rush has got to find the weaknesses in this Texans defense, which is, hey, there's a lot of zone. Sometimes the man-to-man gets a little aggressive and leaves an opening, and Rush is just going to have to be probably the best version of himself. He's going to have CeeDee Lamb go crazy in this game and just be an unstoppable force offensively. He's going to need Rico Dowdle, who they deemed the starting running back RB1, have one of his better games. Ferguson, their tight end's a nice player. He's going to have a big day as well. And if all those things come together and the Cowboys get some mistakes from the Texans, take advantage of him, then they could sneak away with a victory on this one. I don't believe that that's going to happen in this one. My score prediction for this one, Dallas Cowboys, they put 12 on the board because I like their field goal kicker, Brandon Aubrey. That guy can boom it. The Cowboys stall out in midfield. They can kick some field goals and put some points on the board that way. It's not going to be near enough. 31 points for the Houston Texans. I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but how about 31 points with the majority of them coming in the second half because the Texans get going out of halftime like they haven't since the New England Patriots game. 31-12, your final score on Monday Night Football to wrap up the week's football action. Texans get the victory. What say you? Let me know in the comment section down below. You see the same way the Texans get this done, the Cowboys get this done as I do? Let me know in the comment section on your way down there. Thumbs up on the video. Subscribe to the channel, of course, if you haven't already. And don't forget, YouTube 150 is that code with my friends at BetUS for that 150% bonus up to $2,000 on your first deposit. It is Monday Night Football. Man, there's really not, to me, a better primetime game than being on Monday Night Football. Texans, Cowboys, the Lone Star Showdown. Enjoy it. I know I will. And we'll talk to you after the game right here on YouTube. Appreciate you watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Can't wait till we talk Texans again soon.